Hello, my name is Callum Kingstreet, and I am a fifth-year chemical engineering student at the University of Edinburgh. Today I am interviewing Martin Mullally about aspects of his fifth-year chemical engineering placement and also the impact of COVID-19. Hi Martin, would you like to give a wee introduction to yourself?
Hi, my name is Martin Mullally. I am fifth year chemical engineering at Edinburgh University. I'm 23 years old and I'm currently on placement at the Isle of Raasay distillery in Scotland.
So what's your placement focused on this semester?
So my project is focused on the water usage at the distillery. So they get their water from a borehole like 65 meters underground, and the same water is getting used for loads of different processes within the distillery. So, for instance, like mashing, fermentation, cooling water in the reboiler, cask reduction, and like bottle reduction, and all of these different processes kind of require a different water quality. So it's not like a one-size-fits-all type deal. So basically, my plan and my project is to kind of look at the different qualities needed for each of the processes, and then try and design or optimize the water treatment to suit that. So the main part of it, by the looks of it so far, is going to be focused on the water used for mashing and fermentation. So the water that's the main bulk of it, basically, like 5,500 litres per ferment. And what I'm doing is I'm basically getting 4 different water qualities, and I'm running some kind of small scale experiments. So I'm doing like fermentations for these 4 different qualities, and then I'm distilling it, and then I'm going to use some GCMS to kind of get a chemical breakdown of the components of the spirit, and then hopefully I can see certain water qualities provide a better end product for the whiskey. And that's pretty much it.
When you're in first year, is this what you expected from chemical engineering?
I suppose like when I was in first year, I was kind of expecting things to be kind of like lab based, like the kind of chemistry labs that you do in first year. I kind of expected the work I've been doing now to be very similar to that. However, like in terms of the general work that I'm doing, decisions seem to be getting made like a lot quicker, rather than like in design projects from 4th year, which is a kind of a weird thought, because like the kind of decisions you're making here has got real money on the line and not just kind of like your grades, which at the end of the day don't really matter too much. In the work I've been doing as well, I've not really been involved with loads of hard and like complicated equations, but the important things that I've kind of had to use or know is the kind of are the concepts that we learn throughout uni. And like you're not doing the calculations by hand, but you need to think about it for certain things that we're doing. There's a lot more teamwork involved than I was expecting as well. So similar to like design projects, but maybe in my experience, it's kind of smaller teams. So maybe 2, 3, 4 people rather than the kind of 8 or 9.
So what sort of concepts from university have you been using on your placement?
I suppose in terms of the water treatment processes that we use, getting a good understanding of the chemistry involved in the different kind of filters that are used is quite important. Understanding how the different ions are kind of reacting with the resin and what's actually happening, basically. And related to that is like how the pH adjustment works for certain water treatment processes, and then also kind of the buffer systems associated with that. Also, the course we did on biochemical engineering, I'm using quite a lot of that knowledge for the mashing and fermentation aspect of things. And another concept which is quite important is just the fact of being able to read a P&ID and then also drawing them and process flow diagrams also.
So to what extent has COVID-19 negatively impacted you this semester?
Well, I suppose quite a lot. Initially I was meant to be in Ireland for the 5th year placement, but that got cancelled because it was deemed international travel, so that didn't go ahead. But lucky enough, I was able to find something just in time. But like everyone else, I haven't really been able to see friends much at all, like given with all the restrictions and stuff like that. And it's made seeing everyone kind of obviously quite hard. But there's not really much I can do, so just kind of everyone just needs to do what they can to talk to their friends online whenever we get the chance.
To what extent has COVID-19 positively impacted you this semester?
Well, I suppose I've saved quite a lot of money on rent because I've not really had to be in Edinburgh, and like we moved out earlier on, like before lockdown just happened. So that's always a bonus. But a silver lining for me, I suppose, is being on placement where I am. So I'm on, as I said, I'm at Raasay Distillery, which is a small island just next to Skye. So out here, there's loads to do outdoors, like social distancing and stuff like that. There's you can go fishing, go out cycling. There's loads of walks to do. So I'm quite lucky that I'm kind of on lockdown here, I suppose.
So do you think COVID-19 will impact your plans post-university, and in what way?
I suppose after university, I will have to graduate and I'd love to go traveling somewhere, like, I don't know, like Vietnam or Canada or like anywhere, I suppose. Just before we get into like a committed job where we don't get like the summer holidays that we get now, like 3 or 4 months. But the way things are looking at the moment, traveling isn't going to be the easiest thing to do. So it might be a bit of a risky one to try book a holiday or anything like that. But in terms of like career-wise, taking a job out with Scotland is a bit of a, I don't know, I'm a bit more wary of it, because if I was to say move down to England somewhere and kind of travel restrictions were put in place, it's going to make it really hard for me to come back and visit family or friends or something like that. It's not stopping me from applying to these jobs, but it's kind of in my mind, and it might be a bit of a factor that I would keep in mind when choosing a job, I suppose. If I get any offers, that is.
Well, thank you very much for your time, and hope you have a good rest of your placement.
Thank you very much. Cheers.